I want you to like this video if you believe your team will make the playoffs or if they've already clinched a playoff spot. We're going to get to the updated AFC playoff picture entering Week 17 in just a moment, but one more time, like this video if you believe your team will make the playoffs or if they already have. Raider Nation, I know you're watching. Yes, the Raiders still can make the playoffs, so like this video if you think your team will make the playoffs. Now, let's get to that updated AFC playoff picture. 8 teams still in the mix for the 6 spots in the AFC. Of course, 5 teams have already clinched, so it's really 3 teams for 1 spot. We'll get to those final 3 teams later on, but we got to start with the team who has clinched home field throughout the postseason in the AFC, and that is the top seed, the Baltimore Ravens. What can you say about this group? They beat the Browns this week 31-15, again to clinch the top seed in the AFC, 11 straight wins. The AFC playoff picture will go through Baltimore as they will get to play at home throughout the postseason. They play the Steelers in Week 17. Doesn't mean much for their sake. Does mean a lot for the Steelers. We'll talk about their side of things later on in the show. But we all know what this team has been about, and it all starts with Lamar Jackson. Over 3,000 passing yards, over 1,200 rushing yards, 43 total touchdowns. Lamar Jackson has done it all. It's a formality at this point. He will be the 2019 NFL MVP. So the Baltimore Ravens having a great season. They get to take the week off essentially in Week 17. They are your number 1 seed in the AFC regardless of what happens this week. Got a quick question for you guys. Who is the best team in the AFC? Is it the Ravens? They've won 11 in a row. Hard to argue against that. Some good teams in the AFC. A couple we're going to get to in just a minute, but Baltimore is a good bet. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Who is the best team in the AFC? Next team up here, the New England Patriots. They clinched the AFC East for the 17th time in 19 seasons by beating the Bills 24-17 over the weekend. They can end up with either the number 2 or the number 3 seed, depending on what happens this week. And they face the Miami Dolphins, a team who has given them some trouble in recent years in games that really haven't meant a lot. So not just a formality this week. They got to take care of business to lock up that number 2 seed. Here are the scenarios for the Patriots when it comes to seeding. You win against the Dolphins, you get the number 2 seed. You can actually tie as well, by the way. Another scenario, you lose, or the Chiefs lose to the Chargers, Patriots also get the number 2 seed. You'll get the number 3 seed if you lose and the Chiefs win. So there is a path to fall down to the 3 seed. A Chiefs win plus a Patriots loss to the Dolphins would result in New England having to play in the wild card round. But beat Miami and the Patriots will be the number 2 seed, and we'll get home field until a possible matchup with the Ravens in the AFC title game. Now, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's number 1 sportsbook. We got a great promo deal for you guys. You go to this link, chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code NFL120. They're going to give you a 120% deposit bonus. I put down $100 before the NFL season. I've got a ton of leftover money, and I haven't had the best gambling year. I've been better in the past, not great this year, but I had all that extra money because they gave me $120 for free. So sign up today, chatsports.com/bet. Bet on all of Week 17 matchups in the NFL. Looking back at the AFC playoff picture here, we've gone over the Ravens, we've gone over the Patriots. Those 2 teams are in line to have the top 2 seeds. Of course, Baltimore has already clinched home field throughout. Patriots get that number 2 seed if they win, or if they get a loss from the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's take a look at the Chiefs side of things. They win their 5th straight game, 26-3 over the Bears. Total domination on Sunday Night Football. Chiefs still have a lot to play for here. They can end up with the number 2, the number 3, or the number 4 seed, depending on what happens in Week 17, in which they'll play the Los Angeles Chargers, a team that is lifeless in a lot of ways. I think they had about 10 fans in their home game against the Oakland Raiders, who we'll talk about later in the show on Sunday. Here are the seeding scenarios for Kansas City. Here's how they get the number 2 seed. Got to beat the Chargers and get a loss from the Patriots. If that happens, Kansas City will be the number 2 seed. For the number 3 seed, they got to win on Sunday or get a loss from the Texans. To fall to the 4 seed, they would have to lose and the Texans would have to win. So pretty good chance the Chiefs are just going to end up being the 3 seed. I don't see the Patriots losing to Miami, and I don't see the Chiefs losing to the Chargers. So that would result in Kansas City being the 3 seed. But there are scenarios to be the 2, 3, or 4 seed, depending on what happens this week. And this Chiefs team, they're very, very dangerous and going to be a tough out in the playoffs because of how this defense has come along. Giving up less than 10 points per game the last 5 weeks. 9 takeaways, less than 90 yards rushing per game allowed, less than 215 yards passing allowed the last 5 weeks, and their third down defense has been terrific, getting off the field with great efficiency. Steve Spagnuolo has turned this group around the second half of this season, and we know what the Chiefs offense can do. This is going to be a very, very tough team to beat in the playoffs. Which brings me to this question. Do you guys believe in momentum? Because there's always this theory here that when a team that gets one of the first-round byes loses its first playoff game, it's like, oh, well, their momentum was crushed. I think there's a little bit something to that. I think it could apply to the Chiefs here, where in the middle of the season they weren't playing great. All of a sudden you've won 5 games in a row, and you could argue maybe having the 3 seed is better so you don't have a week off. You're in playoff mode. I think there's something to that. If you think momentum is real, type Y for yes. If you don't think it's real and getting a first-round bye is still the priority, type in for no. Next team up here, it's the Houston Texans, who clinched the AFC South over the weekend with their 23-20 win over the Buccaneers. They can still end up with the number 3 seed. We'll get to that scenario in just a second. They will have to get through the Tennessee Titans in Week 17 and get some help from the Chiefs to have that happen. 10-5 on the year. Deshaun Watson, another great season for the Houston Texans with a defense that has been depleted in a lot of ways. J.J. Watt has missed most of the season yet again as he's battled injuries the last couple of years. Here are the seeding scenarios for the Texans. The way they get to the number 3 seed is they beat Tennessee on Sunday and get a loss from the Chiefs against the Chargers. Number 4 seed is if the Chiefs win or if they lose to the Titans. So only chance to move up is by winning and having the Chiefs loss. Otherwise, Houston will be the number 4 seed in the AFC, which means they will still have a home playoff game in round 1 of the NFL playoffs. So those are your divisional winners. Baltimore, New England, Kansas City, and Houston. Seeding 2 through 4 can still be altered a bit. Baltimore, your number 1 seed in the AFC, regardless of what happens in Week 17. Let's shift gears to the wild card teams here, starting with the Buffalo Bills, who are locked in as the number 5 seed. Had their chance to stay alive in the AFC East, but lost a tough game, 24-17 against New England. Buffalo's locked in as the 5 seed. Nothing that happens in Week 17 will change that because the teams behind them all have 8 wins or less. Buffalo has 10 wins, so they can't get caught from behind. So they will be the number 5 seed and will play either Houston or Kansas City in the first round. Play the Jets in Week 17, but nothing much to see there. I bet they rest their starters and gear up for the playoffs. Now is where it gets interesting. This fight for the number 6 seed. There's 3 teams in the mix here, starting with Tennessee. Despite losing last week, Tennessee goes from out of the playoffs to in the playoffs because of the Steelers losing as well. We'll break down that situation a little bit more in a little bit. Played tough against the Saints, lost 38-28. It's simple for Tennessee. They're either going to be the number 6 seed or they're going to miss the playoffs, and they're going to have to take down their division rival, the Houston Texans, if they want to control their own destiny. Here are the clinching scenarios. You beat the Texans and you're in. Very simple. Going to be tough on the road. If the Steelers lose, you're also in. Here's how you miss the playoffs. If you lose and the Steelers win. That is the scenario for Tennessee. If it's my team, I just say, hey, win, take care of business. Don't rely on another team to lose. I know Baltimore's going to rest starters, but that's still going to be a tough game for Pittsburgh to win. I wouldn't want to have to worry about that. Just take care of business against the Texans. This is the matchup, Tennessee at Houston. Tennessee actually opening as 5.5-point favorites, according to our betting partners, BetDSI. Go bet on this game today, chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code NFL120. Over-under set at 47. Houston still has stuff to play for as they are trying to jump to that number 3 seed. So I don't think they're going to lay down in this game. They would like to win this one. So Tennessee going to have to play its best ball. Again, you can bet on this game, chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code NFL120 to get that 120% deposit bonus. Go bet on all of Week 17 games in the NFL, college football, NBA. You can do it all at BetDSI. A couple more teams to get into here. The Pittsburgh Steelers. So they lost and fell to the in the hunt category, on the outside looking in, because now they have the same record in the AFC as the Titans do, which means it goes to the next tiebreaker, which is strength of victory, which the Titans have a major advantage. Lost the Jets 16-10 this week. Quarterback has been a problem. We all know that. Devlin Duck Hodges did not play well, has not played well in recent weeks, was actually benched for Mason Rudolph, who played pretty well for the first time in a while, but then he exited with a left shoulder injury, had to go back to Hodges, wasn't able to rally late. They fall 16-10, so they've got a quarterback issue heading into Week 17. Not sure what Rudolph's status is as of yet, but I've got this question. If Mason Rudolph can play, who should start in Week 17 for Pittsburgh? Should it be Duck Hodges or Mason Rudolph? If you think it should be Duck, type D. If you think it should be Mason Rudolph, type M. I mean, Rudolph looked a lot better yesterday. We know both these guys aren't very good. I would probably give the reins back to Rudolph. He's more of a vertical passing threat. They've got James Washington. Juju Smith-Schuster's back from injury. I would go back to him, but I'm not sure what his status would be. Either way, not great options there. By the way, if Rudolph's hurt, Paxton Lynch will be elevated from the practice squad and be Duck Hodges' backup. That is a very bad situation. Last team here, Raider Nation, I know you're watching. We didn't think it was possible, but everything happened in Week 16 that had to keep the Raiders alive in the playoff hunt, including Oakland snapping that 4-game losing streak by beating the Chargers 24-17 on the road. But we all know that was a home game for the Raiders. I don't think there were any Chargers fans. Just go check out some pictures on Twitter. Mitchell Renz has you covered there. That was a home game for the Raiders. Lots of stuff has to happen for the Raiders to make the playoffs and get that number 6 seed, starting with beating the Broncos. You got to beat the Broncos, and then the chips fall where they may. If the Ravens beat the Steelers, the Texans beat the Titans, and the Colts beat the Jags, and the Raiders beat the Broncos, Oakland makes the playoffs at 8-8. Who would have thought that was possible? By the way, you look at that on screen, I know the Ravens are probably going to rest starters, but their backups are still good. RG3 can play. Houston at home against the Titans. Colts against the Jags. That's not out of the realm of possibility. I'll give that a 15 to 20% chance all of that actually happens. Craziest thing, the hardest thing might be Oakland actually beating the Broncos with the way Drew Lock's been playing, but that is the Raiders' path to the playoffs. It's unlikely, but it's certainly still a possibility. So quick recap as we recap the AFC playoff picture. 4 divisional winners locked up: Ravens, Patriots, Chiefs, and Texans. Seeding 2 through 4 can be altered depending on what happens this week. Bills locked in at the 5 seed. Titans, Steelers, and Raiders all fighting for that final seed in the AFC, final playoff spot as the number 6 seed. So I want to ask you guys again, like this video if you believe your team will make the playoffs. I'm looking at you, Raiders fans. Or if your team already has. I know a lot of fan bases are watching us here. If you think your team will make the playoffs, or if your team has already clinched the playoff spot, like this video, and we'll see you next time.